I always laugh because, you think a song called Peace Be Still would be like so quiet and like gentle.
Until it's
and
not.
instead we were just like, no, like sometimes you have to war.
Let me ask you this. Do you write songs like that because you need to hear it or because I need to hear it?
We wrote Peace Be Still because I was battling with fear. I was battling with anxiety and massive insecurity, funny enough, about being a songwriter. Because I didn't become a songwriter till I was like in my mid-30s. Like that wasn't something I had done. And just the little bit of my journey, I actually had come off staff after a decade plus of being on staff and leading worship. And I just found myself in a season of just realizing I needed to do some healing. Like just a lot of life had happened, right? Heartaches and disappointments and just different things that had happened. And I realized I wasn't in the healthiest of places. And so I ended up coming off staff. I had been traveling as a worship leader. I stopped traveling as a worship leader. And my husband and I just made a collective decision that it was a season I needed to be home and a season that I needed to let the Lord really heal some things. And I needed to rewire, I think, my identity and what I did. So when I did that, I never thought I would lead worship again. I never thought that God would pull me back into that world. I clearly didn't think I would write songs or find myself here today doing something like this. So when I started writing songs, it was because I was literally walking through a season that I needed to write it for. And so Peace Be Still was birthed on a day where I was feeling super insecure about this new season I found myself in, writing songs for my worship team and for our church. And my friend who co-wrote it with me, she was feeling like this thing that she had really prayed for years and years and years and was finally happening was suddenly falling apart. And so when we wrote I Don't Want to Fear the Waves, it was really addressing the waves of disappointment and the waves of fear and the waves of insecurity, where you have those moments in your life where you're like, I have been here before and I don't want to be here again. Or at least if I'm going to be here, I don't want to drown in fear. I don't want to drown in disappointment and anxiety every single time this thing rises itself up against me.
Wow.
And so we were like, well, the only way to do that is to anchor yourself in something greater than what you're facing. And for us, that is Jesus and his word. That is an anchor that you can hold firm and steadfast to. And so that's why we wrote it. And I think most of the songs off my new record, there's maybe two songs off the whole record that I wrote for someone else, like in mind. And yet those songs have been completely true for me too. So
I hear the lyrics. It's like it's twofold. It's like this vulnerable, right? Confession.
yes.
Right? And then by the end, though, it's like, no, this is my fight song.
Yes, you get it.
You know?
That's exactly what it is.
And so I love both of those.
Yeah.
Because a fight song without some sense of vulnerability, I can't connect to. It
Same.
seems a little,
Same.
right? Like,
Well, and I think if it's just confession and it's just like, oh, this is so hard, then there's no hope in it.
Exactly.
And there's actually no faith in it. And yet, if it's all just hope and it's all faith and it feels all shiny and perfect, well, that's not true to what we actually face in our real lives. Mm-hmm. And I think I've tried to be really intentional with that, with my writing, to be vulnerable throughout the songwriting process and to not hold back my own stories and to not be like, but I'm going to reserve this. No, I've tried to put it on the table, but at the same time, always know like, but the thing that has rescued me has been Jesus. So I want somewhere in the songs that you feel like, no, there is actually something greater here, which is Jesus. And I mean, that's the point of the whole backside of the song, oh heart believe, let faith rise up in me. Sometimes you just have to sing to your soul and you have to sing it in a way that it's more like a weapon, you know what I mean? Like to kind of cut through all the stuff that's happening. So I always laugh because, you think a song called Peace Be Still would be like so quiet and like gentle.
Until it's
And
not.
instead we were just like, no, like sometimes you have to war for peace. And sometimes you have to like go to battle to fight for that thing. And so, I don't know, we kind of flipped it on its head and just took a different approach, I think. So